again, we will preach again, we will organize again. We are black, we are white, we are Latino, we are Native American, we are Democrat, we are Republican, we are independent, we are people of faith, we are people not of faith, we are natives and immigrants, we are business leaders and workers and unemployed, we are doctors and the uninsured, we are gay, we are straight, we are students, we are parents, we are retirees. We are North Carolina, and we're here, and we ain't going nowhere.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is a deep and sincere privilege to be in this historic and beautiful space. 50 years ago this month, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. In his stirring acceptance speech in Norway a few weeks later, Reverend Dr. King said he accepted the award as the representative of a movement and proclaimed, "I have the audacity to believe that people everywhere can have 3 meals a day for their bodies, education and culture for their mind, and dignity, equality, and freedom for their spirits. I believe that what self-centered men have torn down, men other-centered can build up." Reverend Dr. William Barber is an extraordinarily other-centered human being. And like Reverend King a half-century ago, Reverend Barber is audacious in building up an inclusive, inspirational, and unrelenting movement. He has set forth a vision of a just and righteous world that embodies Dr. King's commitment to radical love and social transformation. Reverend Barber calls on each one of us to stand in the gap by seeking moral justice and by resisting structural oppression that undermines our collective security and peace. As the Fellowship of Reconciliation embarks on our 100th year of spiritually rooted nonviolence activism and organizing, we remember Dr. King's membership and active participation in FOR throughout the final decade of his life. Honoring his legacy, we are incredibly proud to award our 35th annual Martin Luther King Jr. Award to Reverend William Barber. I am now deeply, sincerely privileged to invite another longtime FOR member, Congressman John Lewis, to present the Martin Luther King Jr. Award to Reverend William Barber.
It is my great honor, and I must say, it is my honor. I feel more than lucky, but very blessed to have this opportunity to present to you Reverend Dr. William Barber, the Martin Luther King Jr. Award, for your service, for your leadership, for never giving up, for never giving in, for keeping the faith, and for keeping your eyes on the prize. Thank you. Let me first thank God for God's gracious privilege to even allow us to be here today. And I want to thank Congressman John Lewis for being a great elder in the movement and for all that he continues to inspire us to do. Let's give him a hand. If you've ever heard him speak on the floor of the Congress, it moves you and motivates you to do more work in the field. To the Fellowship of Reconciliation, I want to thank you for this award that I receive, not on my own behalf, but on behalf of all of the persons who've been so supportive, not just last year, but for the last 7 years in our attempt to build a multiracial fusion coalition in the South, that some of you know as the Forward Together Moral Monday movement. I want to ask, thank you. People, some don't realize we've been at this 8 years. But in the last year, we've seen the Moral Monday part of that movement grow and expand, and we've been at it now over 79 weeks just on Monday. And if you add all of the other pieces of it, we've had 149 events, that's 2 per week since last April, fighting to right this state and to change and to shift the center of political gravity. Would all of the arrestees of Moral Monday that are here stand up? Would anybody that's been at Moral Monday stand up? If you've attended a Moral Monday, give yourselves a hand. This award belongs to all of you. With John Lewis in the house, I want to also thank those 40 young people who's decided that this summer, rather than simply commemorate the anniversary of the Freedom Summer, they would reenact it. And they went 47 counties throughout this state, knocking on, calling over nearly 20,000 doors and phone calls, saying that we still believe in the promises of our democracy and the great promises of our faith. I also today want to say that I never thought I'd be standing here like this. I was supposed to be born the day that you spoke, Congressman Lewis. My mother went into labor on the 28th of August, 1963. So I was supposed to be born on the same day that Emmett Till was killed in '55 and the same day you and Dr. King spoke. But I've always been a little rambunctious, and the joke in my family is that I said, hold up, let's wait till after this march and see what the word is going to be. And so I was born on August the 30th, 1963. The Bible says in Isaiah 58, cry loud and spare not. Lift up thy voice like a trumpet and show my people their transgression and the house of Jacob their sins. Yet they seek me daily and delight to know my ways as a nation that did righteousness and forsook not the ordinances of God. They ask of me the ordinance of justice. They take delight in approaching God. Wherefore have we fasted, that they say, and why don't you see it, God? Wherefore have we afflicted our souls and you don't take any knowledge of it? Because behold, in the day of your fast you find pleasure and you exact your labor. You fast for strife and debate and to smite with the fist of wickedness. But this is not the kind of fast that I will hear on high. And then it says, is this not the fast that I have chosen? Loose the bands of wickedness. Pay people what they deserve. Undo the heavy burdens. Let the oppressed go free. Break every yoke of oppression. Deal your bread to the hungry. Bring the poor and the cast out into your house. When you seeth the naked, cover him, and then shall thy light break forth as the morning, and thine health shall spring forth speedily, and thy righteousness shall go before thee, and the glory of the Lord shall be thy reward. Then you shall call on the Lord, and God will answer.
Then, if you draw out your soul to the hungry, if you satisfy the afflicted soul, then shall thy light rise in obscurity, and thy darkness be as the noonday. And the Lord will guide thee continuously, and satisfy thy soul, and draw it, and make fat thy bones. And thou shalt be like a watered garden, a spring garden, and your waters will never fail. And then they shall be of thee, shall build the old waste places, and thou shalt raise up the foundations of many generations, and you shall be called repairers of the breach. This weekend is Yom Kippur, and the ancient rabbis demanded that this text specifically, of all of the texts that could have been read in the Old Covenant, that Isaiah 57 and 58 would be the text that you would reflect on during the time of repentance during Yom Kippur. A text that says the issue is not so much what God will do, but what we will do because of what we believe in God. It is a text that says we can never simply worship. We can never simply worship going through the motions of religion, but real worship requires a commitment to justice, a commitment to the least of these, a commitment to changing the systemic realities. And my friends, I only accept this award today to get back with my friends tomorrow Monday and go back to work, because there are breaches that still must be repaired. There are gaps that still must be closed. When extremists, governors and legislators and congresspeople and senators are still speaking with interposition and nullification, blocking access to health care, and blocking funding to public education, and blocking minimum wage, and blocking living wage, and blocking immigrant rights, and blocking labor rights, and blocking women's rights, and blocking LGBT rights, there are still breaches that we've got to close. When war is more palatable to some politicians than justice for the least of these, when the president can be supported for war and not supported to make sure our immigrant friends have immigrant rights, there are a lot of breaches. When we sing God Bless America and say God has shed his grace on us, but then we refuse to give grace to those on the margins, there are a lot of breaches that must be repaired. When, as Ella's song said, until the killing of black men and black mothers' sons is as important as the killing of white men and white mothers' sons, there are a lot of breaches that we've got to repair. As long as there are those, as long as there are those who want to take away voting rights and even want to try to figure out ways to hold on to just a little bit of voting rights, but then deny the protections we won in 1965 to states like Alabama and North Carolina and Virginia and Tennessee, there are a lot of breaches. As long as United States has this reality of being the richest and the poorest nation both at the same time, in terms of disparity, there are a lot of breaches. As long as too many of people of faith desire personal prosperity, but refuse to have a prophetic witness against injustice, we have a lot of breaches to close. A lot of them. Breaches, gaps, holes, economic breaches, social breaches, political breaches, moral breaches that must be prepared. And to do it, my friends, what we have learned and what we believe is we need a moral revival. Left and right arguments alone are not deep enough for the valley we must come up out of. Democrat and Republican is not deep enough in order to come up out of the holes and the breaches that we are in the nation. It's too puny, they're too divisive. For this work, we need a moral revival. We need our moral imagination rekindled. We need our souls stirred so that we can believe again. Brueggemann says it like this. He says the first gift of a moral movement is not implementation, but the restoration of imagination, to give people the kind of hope that allows them to break free of all of the other allegiances we have made and to dream again. And the Forward Together movement is trying to dream again. It's trying to destroy our imagination again. And we are saying, yes, Over against extremism, we still believe our politics can be just. Our society can be just. We can be loving. We can be fair. We can be uplifting. We can move to higher ground. We don't have to live low down in our society. We can move to higher ground. And so the moral movement is saying, Lord, plant North Carolina, plant Washington, D.C., plant the South, plant America, plant our feet on higher ground, because we are the children of those that believed, and we still believe. And so, Congressman Lewis, we've decided in the moral movement that this is our benediction of all that we do, the benediction of the Franciscans. May God bless us with discomfort and easy answers and half-truths and superficial relationships, so that we may live deep within our heart. May God bless us with anger at injustice and oppression, exploitation of people, so that we may work for justice and freedom and peace. May God bless us with tears to shed for those who suffer from pain and rejection and starvation and war, so that we may reach out our hands to comfort them and to turn their pain into joy. And may God bless us with enough foolishness of faith to believe that we can make a difference in this difficult world, so that we can do what others claim cannot be done. And so Martin is not here. Ella's not here. John Lewis has certainly fought for us so many times. But let us say together, we're here now. It's our time, and we shall be called the repairers of the breach.